Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Boom Yeti. This game is Element Fission, and in today's video, we're going to be doing an advanced account gear cleanup. So I'm going to walk you through a bunch of different filters that we can use now that we have 4 variable filter options. We're going to walk through a bunch of those different things. We're going to talk through what to keep, what not to keep. High level, we're not going to get too deep into the grinds of things, but hopefully, you know, this video will give you guys the blueprint to create your own filters and to maybe get rid of some of these extra gears that might not ever land on units, which is the main reason for an advanced cleanup like this. I know that right now this weekend we actually have unlimited free energy in the game for the 100-day celebration, and so hopefully I can get this out right now, today or tomorrow, and it can help you out if you are, like me, capped completely on gears. So here's where I'm at. I don't think you get to see the number, but I'm basically at 1,800. I don't have any extra space. So I have to get it down under 1,800 every time I want to do a 20 run, and then I have to delete gears to get under it again every single time. It is terrible. So that's going to be what we do today. Rambling, I'm sure, at a maximum, but I'll try to be as concise as I can. So with no further ado, if this is something that helps you out, please do like, subscribe, comment, all that random stuff that apparently helps me. So here we go. Advanced account cleanup. Let's do it. All right, so the very first thing that we're going to do is let's talk through some filters. All right, so the first filter we're going to look at is going to be an exclusion filter. What that means is that we're going to intentionally leave these stats at 0 when we go through this. So we're going to go speed, HP, defense, all at 0, and then hit done. This is going to ensure that the gears you see are all going to not include HP, speed, or defense. The only gears you should see are going to be attacking gears. Let me go ahead and we'll read what this says here. This document will be available, by the way, guys. I'm going to put this in the description if you don't want to listen through my rambling. There's an explanation beside each one of these filters that explains how to use them, what they're for, blah, blah, blah. Don't want to hear me? You can just make a copy of this document and move on with your life. No hard feelings. I've created it for the use of everybody. So if you do want to listen to the ramble, here we go. So first filter, this exclusion filter is going to isolate suboptimal tank gear. The only things you should be finding are attacking gears. When you find gears with several non-grindable stats, you should consider deleting them unless it's attack, crit damage, and speed combos. Exceptions include any quads or triple rolls with other usable stats. Make sure to be including equipped so you can isolate and replace poor gears. So here's a good example. I don't have include equipped right now. I'm only seeing the things that match this filter that are in my box right now. If I hit include equipped, then I can actually see I do have some on units that fit this filter. I have done this filtering quite recently on my account, so I know that most anything that's on a unit is there for a reason. Like, for example, I know that this is the most accuracy I have on a Echo slot 1, and that's why it's there, even though it's a pretty poor rune. I know that this has the most crit rate that I can put on that slot that's not in use right now, so that's why that's on him. It's a quad roll, right? Like it said in the purpose up here. If it's a quad or a triple, there's a chance that it could still be a good rune. Gear, I suppose. But what you're going to want to do is just go through, and you should knock this down so that the stuff that's not on units is limited. Like, I have way too many slot 5s here. I need to go through my slot 5s and isolate why I've kept so many, especially purple. Like, you can maybe get away with keeping Legos that fit this filter, right? Because you probably have decent other stats on there, right? So here you go. Here's an attacker gear. Here's an attacker gear with 9 luck, right? Attacker gear. Actually, that one's a pretty garbage. That one could just get sold. Yeah, see? So look at that. We already found a gear that I've kept for no good reason that'll probably never land on a unit. So you're going to go through, you're going to do that filter, go through each one of these gears. If you can't justify keeping it, like this one right here, it has 69 Lamau. I think that's why I kept it. That's funny as fuck. Anyway, delete it. If you can't find a reason to keep the gears, delete them. There's no purpose. Remember that your slots 2, 4, and 6, this filter isn't going to work quite so well because you're going to have speed, HP, and defense on the primary stat because those don't get excluded. It's a sub-stat exclusion. So speed, HP, defense, all that is going to show up on that. So just keep that in mind. These filters that you're going through are mostly for slots 1, 3, and 5, not necessarily for slots 2, 4, 6. You can still use them and apply them, but you got to take them with a little more of a grain of salt because the slots 2, 4, 6 aren't going to isolate quite so well. All right. So that explains the very first filter. The other thing that you could do, like it says here, is you could rotate the final stat. So you could take this fourth one and you could say, what if it doesn't have crit rate? And now we isolate it even more, right? And now I know that none of these gears have crit rate on them. So I could be even more picky. So like this gear, for example, is an attack percent rune. So much flat HP. I'll never use this. That's never going on a monster, right? Yeah, I mean, just horrible, non-grindable. Everything here is non-synergistic. It's defense on revenge. That's the only reason it got kept. But it's just a bad gear. I don't need it, you know? Again, low roll, one roll into luck. Don't need it. That's not bad. That's 20 attack. This could get gemmed into crit chance, and it becomes, you know, a decent attacker rune. Yeah, not bad. So we keep that. All the bad stuff. Don't need it. So yeah, this is how I would go through. I would literally touch every single gear, look at every single one of them, identify if there is a use case for them. This, I bet, has one of the most accuracy on that slot for Zeal, so I will hold it. This can just get straight up deleted. So yeah, anyway, that's how we go through. You could isolate this fourth one. You could also make the fourth stat be indicative of what you're looking for. So if the gear doesn't have any of these 3 stats up here, you could also even go further. You could say no attack. And now you know that it literally, like the gears that pop up here on 1, 3, 5, they don't have any of the good grindable stats at all on them. So you got to be super hesitant to keep them. Look at that. Look at that. Why is that on my account? Why did I plus 15 that on my account, guys? Like, what was I thinking? It's so bad. I'll never use it. Delete it, right? So yeah, that's what you're going to do. You're going to go through. A lot of times you're going to find some of the gears that you probably used starting out that you're never going to touch again. You just have to be willing to say, I've got better than that. I'm going to delete it to make room to get even better. You know, you have to do that, or else you just end up stun locking your account. You can't do anything. Here's 20 crit rate on a defense percent rune. That's not too bad. So yeah, anyway, I would recommend try to get every slot under every filter you do. Try to always have no more than 2 full rows, which is 14 gears. So, you know, 2 rows of slot 1, 2 rows of slot 2. You can be a little more lenient when we get to the bottom half of the filters, obviously. But for these top filters, you're really trying to isolate these gears because they're not the optimal ones. All right, moving on to number 2. The second filter that we're going to run, here we go, is going to be a non-attacking filter. So it says crit rate 0, crit damage 0, attack 0, speed 0 through 11. Okay. This filter will be used for all your damage dealing sets to delete unneeded tanky gears that are no longer needed. You'll find primary grindable stats, so make sure to double check your marks and ensure you're not deleting some of your tankiest gears. We allow up to 11 speed to catch non-max rolls that create suboptimal gears. So we're trying to find those gears that have rolled +4 speed once or twice, right? Or they had +4, they rolled +4, you know, whatever. Once you've vetted your account and you've kind of geared everything, for the most part, you don't need a lot of slow gears. So the ones that did have speed and then hit very low, they might end up being crutches on your account. And so we're going to cull a lot of the 0 speed through 11, and we're only going to keep the high rolled stuff on our account. So anything over 11 speed won't show up in this filter. You don't even have to consider that you're deleting a fast gear. And these are also supposed to be all very tanky grindable gears. So let's do the filter and let's look at what pops up. So we're going to go no crit rate, no crit damage, no attack, and speed is going to be 0. Important, not 1 through 11. That would mean that we wouldn't see any gears that don't have speed. We want 0 through 11. Okay, and that means that anything that's 12 speed, you know, anything that's over a perfectly single rolled gear is not going to pop up in our filter. Anything that does not have speed or has a less than 11 will. Okay, and so we pop that filter in, and here's what we come up with. We've got quite a few already just in row 1. Let's see. Let's take a couple looks at examples here. So yeah, see? So there's a very nice tanky gear that needs a speed grind on it. But as you can see, I've already marked it with my shield. If you guys have, again, I'm going to harken back. If you have not watched my first video for gear cleanup and like preparation, you should definitely be doing that and get it done once at least. That way you're not deleting, you know, your better gears. Okay? So make sure you do that. Go watch that video. This is a Swift rune that rolled really horribly. We're going to delete that. So we found our first gear. It's not worth keeping. I have this marked as a high defensive gear, so I'm not going to delete it. I know previously I've come through, I looked and I saw that this was in some way its best, so it's probably the resistance. It's probably my highest resistance in the slot. Can't delete it. This needs to get grinded, right? It needs all the grinds and stuff, but that's not a bad gear either. You know, 16 defense, 23 HP, 15 speed, 10 accuracy. It's kind of very full. It's a full gear. We're not going to delete that. It's nice. See, here's one that I already did it with. That's good gear. That's better than this. We delete this. We don't need that. 11 speed, 10 speed, don't need them. Keep in mind, guys, when you're doing this, one thing you certainly could do, and I probably should do, is check and see what the bases were. See, so here's a perfect example. This was base 6 speed. This is worth resetting. Look, I've already done it once. I've reset this one time. And then spamming rolls into. I'd take 18. Damn. All right, here we go. Third filter. This one is going to be, let's move the screen again. Good enough. All right, so we're going to go with reset, and we're going to go crit damage 1 to 99. 1. I like to just, on an emulator, I just spam 1, so same thing. Accuracy and resistance. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Done. Okay. And now this filter shows you gears that have no grindable stats. We leave crit rate out as we don't want to see our double crit gears. But we are going, the fourth stat is left blank to show us a much wider variety of gears that can be deleted. Depending on the roles, some of these gears can still be useful if they're legendary and brilliant and have other good subs, right? So with this game, we get 5 subs and an innate. So for example, like this gear right here, despite my best efforts, you're still able to find, you know, that there's grindable stats on here. Here's HP, right? Here's defense and HP. So just because it has crit damage, accuracy, and resistance, all 3, doesn't necessarily mean anything, right? It could even be popping up in the, like the innate, you know? And then good stats are there with it. So again, you still have to go through all these gears and figure out if they're worth keeping. Here's one with 18 speed. I have very few immortal gears. That's why that's being kept. This one's one of my tankiest gears. I know that because in the past I've already marked it. See? So 17 defense. 17 defense and 9 resistance seems so bad, actually. You know what? I'm going to take back what I'm saying. I'm going to unmark this and delete it because it's horrible. Yucky gear. All right. An ambush gear that has crit rate. So that's what we need to do. We need to go here. Crit rate 0. There we go. And now we no longer see anything that shows crit rate. See, like that gear right there. What's the point of that? That's useless. That's pretty bad too. That's really bad too. See how quickly I'm able to just identify. That's not too horrible if that rolls again into speed. You gem out something. Maybe gem out the accuracy or the crit damage and put a grindable stat. That's not a horrible gear. All right, slot 2. Again, like all these filters, guys, on the top here, these first 4, 2, 4, and 6 you can look at. It's not going to be something you just delete a bunch of gears using the filter in 2, 4, and 6. This is much more to identify slots 1, 3, and 5, which most accounts are going to have a mass amount of 1, 3, 5. So, 27 crit damage, we're going to hold on to that. Good grindable, 2 good grindable stats. I don't know why this isn't just plus 15. There we go. Yeah. Like, this is nice. There we go. Convert, crit damage. Actually, we'll convert. Yeah, we'll convert the crit damage. 4 crit rate is nothing, but it's fine. I like having all 3 grindables next to each other. Whatever. Don't judge me. Just makes the rune look cooler. Look at that. Nice. Nice little gear. All right. What else do we need to get rid of? This is absolutely horrible. This is fine with 14 speed. And that's fine with a lot of accuracy resistance. Double grindable. This is a gear that I should also have already fixed. That's going to be the end of the first set of filters. All right, so those are all low-hanging fruit type filters. You get the idea. You can iterate on this any way that you want, right? You can add, remove stats. You can do exclusions and inclusions. It's just the method that's important. Again, this document is available for everybody to be able to use. So we move on now to the second section of our filters. Let's move my face. There we go. All right. Move this so you can see it. Good enough. All right. So these next 3 sets of filters are all going to be what I like to call archetype filters. Their purpose is to identify upgrades, get the best pieces onto units, and remove the lowest efficiency pieces specific to slots 1, 3, and 5. Okay, you're going to need to remember to do the gears with speed separate from the ones without. They're different archetypes. You can sort by substat and rearrange the order so you can see the highest value you have for each stat. Let me show that. So we're going to go in here. We're going to reset. We're going to do attack, inclusion, crit rate, inclusion, crit damage, inclusion, and then we're going to do no speed. Okay. Now we're going to go by substat sum. And now each gear that you see here, none of these are on units, right? But this gear right here has the highest total sum of everything in my filter. Attack, crit damage, crit rate, right? If I go like this and I go 1 like this, now every gear here has attack, crit damage, crit rate, and speed. This one has the highest cumulative total of those 4 stats combined. Make sense? And so now what we're going to do to identify gears that are this but not needed is we're going to include equipped. There we go. See how so many of my gears are already, my best ones are all. So we got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 slot 1s pop up on units before the first one that's not on a unit. Right? And so what I need to do is let's isolate just slot 1. I need to go through and I need to say, okay, bottom of the list, who's down here? We got this guy. Well, that kind of makes sense because the sole purpose of the fire clock is to have luck, right? And so while I'm trying to put some stats on him that can deal some damage, he also needs that luck. That's why he's very low, right? We don't really care about the cumulative total. We'd have to isolate luck, which is a completely different thing that we would do in a little bit. Anyway, so I don't need to change his gear, is what I'm trying to say. So we look here, we see that this is an echo piece, and we'll use it, we'll do the example. So we would go type echo that matches this filter. No other gear has these stats on it, right? And this one even has the defense that we need. So we could actually, like the filter says on your screen, it says attack and defense rotate. So you would take the attack out, you'd put defense in, you'd go 1 to max. And now we still see nothing else exists, right? Let's go like that. See, nothing else exists. So that's why that gear, even though it's near the bottom of our list of all of the gears that match these stats, that's why that gear is there. So this is still defense now, right? I changed it to be defense. And what the point of this filter is when you go through, let's change this back to attack. Go to defense, go back to attack, go inclusion, attack. There we go. When you go through, you're able to say, well, maybe this gear down here I don't need because look at no one else is rocking it, right? And so you go set by set. You start with power. You say, okay, well, the only 2 units that have this type of gear on slot 1 are my Dr. Evil and a PvE unit. And I say, is there better gear for either of these to the left of them, right? So I know that this has 15 accuracy, which is I know, because I geared it, why he has this gear and not something better, because I need that accuracy, right? And so you just do that. You go through each unit, you say, okay, this one has 13 crit rate, 12 speed. Is this something that's necessary? Does it have to have 12 speed and 13 crit rate? You go check, you find out, and you say, oh, it doesn't? Well, I could get away with putting one of these other better gears on it, right? And maybe this gear right here lands on this purple gear comes off of it, and then it's sitting here to get deleted eventually. There's 21 speed. We know we want to keep that. Here's a gear that's a potential delete, right? You're looking at this, and what the fuck is there that I want to keep? Nothing, you know? Here's a 4-star that's like very much a potential delete. It's not bad. 32, 36, cumulative attack, but, you know, not great. Delete it. Don't need it. Anyway, that's what you're going to do. You're going to go through. These bottom 3 filters all work exactly the same way. And again, remember, you're going to include speed, and then you're going to exclude speed. So you're going to take, and speed's going to be here, and then you just click it off, click it back on, include attack. There we go. And now I'm showing gears that have no speed, right? I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to go through. I'm going to say, okay, well, here's this Popo. Maybe there's a gear down here, this one or this one, that would be better for this unit than what's currently on it, right? Again, that's how we're going to go through. It's sorted by substat sum first, because we want to see what are the most valuable versus least valuable. Then what you're going to do with these same filters is you're going to sort by simply substat, like this. And now the top left substat is the one that has the sorting, okay? So because crit rate is in my top left, now all these gears are sorted by crit rate. And I can see, for example, my water twin blade has this type of a gear, and it has the highest crit rate on it, right? And I can see my gunslinger does not have a high crit rate, but it has 30 crit damage on it, right? So cumulative substat, you know, substat sum is going to tell you what are the most efficient, the highest, you know, total combined values, whereas substat is how you isolate one specific stat and say, okay, well, because I know that I've got 12, 10 crit rate here, if I get a gear that the only good thing going for it is some crit rate, I can get rid of it. This one has 10 luck, or this would be an instant delete with these stats, right? We know this one matches our filter. Let's run it. Let's see what we get. Unfortunately, immediately defense and luck. 8. We're going to roll to 15. Hey, 11. We'll take 11 luck. We can make this gear work. Look at that. I'd rather that defense roll had been into crit damage or attack, but nice. We can always make an 11 luck rune work somewhere PvE. So, nice. Little upgrade there for someone. All right, moving on. So that's how we do that first archetype filter. Again, you're going to look at these very bottom gears, and if you cannot come up with a reason to keep them, you're going to delete them to make room to get better gears, right? So like this one, for example, I do not need that on any unit. I delete it. 26 crit damage isn't bad. That's a lot of grindable stats. That's 37 crit combination. That's pretty deletable. So yeah, you're going to do the exact same thing for HP percent, defense percent, resistance, and then include, exclude speed. So what we just did for attacking gears, we're going to do the same thing now for the tank archetype, right? So we're going to take include HP, include defense, include resistance, and then exclude speed to start. So yeah, this is how you'd identify these. You can do it all at once. You can do it set by set, however you want to go about it. Again, the idea would be to go to the bottom of your sorting pile, right? When you're sorted by substat sum. There we go. Go to the bottom of the pile and say, are any of these units at the bottom of the pile needing an upgrade? Cool. So yeah, and then the final one that you would do it with, your third one is going to be that PvE filter. So you're going to go with luck inclusion, speed inclusion, accuracy inclusion. Sort by substat sum and go to the bottom. Potential replacement gear right there, right? And you go through that way. Again, exact same thing. Look at all the PvE units that all have those 3 stats on their gear, right? So I just go through, you pick each one, you make sure that it's got the best option, identify which ones need better gears. Like, for example, this probably doesn't need to be on him. That luck's a dead stat, no crit rate. I guess 29 crit damage is decent, but it's whatever. And yeah, you go through, find which gears are potential upgrades, replace them, delete the old gears, or, once you've re-geared everything, as the last point in this all says, once your GVG and dungeon teams are geared, these archetype gears can be culled using the substat sum sorting and going through each set, removing the lowest few gears. Be sure to take grinds and augments into consideration, right? So in this filter, with speed, luck, and accuracy, the only stat that can be grinded up of those 3 is speed. But in the other filters, like the first 2, there's going to be either attack or HP, defense, yada yada, that can be grinded. Make sure you take that into consideration. One gear may be way higher on the list, but it might, its base gear might be less efficient than another one because you haven't ground the other one yet, right? So that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope that this has been helpful, guys. I hope that if these filters are not knocking out a couple hundred gears out of your account, then you're probably being too picky, okay? Just keep that in mind. If you are like me and you're at your max cap, you gotta just delete gears. You don't want to just delete them out because you have them in your storage. You need to be addressing old gears on your units and putting the new gears on that are better, and then deleting the old gears so they don't wind up on other units, right? So that's all. I hope that this has been helpful. As always, please do be kind to one another, and until next time, take care. So long.